This is Ottawa at Work with Leslie Roberts on News Talk 580 CFRA.
The independent MPP in Queen's Park, Randy Hillier, tweeted out a letter that apparently was signed by an Ottawa police officer, 23-year member of the force here, that basically praises him for questioning the Ford government's measures when it comes to COVID-19. And Mr. Hillier says, "It is great to see members of our police begin standing up and speaking out. They are put in some of the hardest positions in mandating and enforcing these overreaching COVID-19 policies our government has put in place. Hashtag Ford failed the people." Randy Hillier, who is, as mentioned, independent member for Lanark, Frontenac, Kingston, joins us now. Good morning, Randy.
Good morning, Leslie. I don't think that characterization of the letter was quite accurate.
All right, you tell me what
Well, if you read the letter, and it's on all the social media platforms, he's very disturbed at what's happening to our country, very disturbed at what's happening to his family and his children. And although there is one sentence applauding me for my actions, the bulk of the letter is expressing very significant and grave concerns about what we're doing to our society.
Well, he talks about daily reminders of the Charter of Rights being trampled. So this is basically what you've been saying with the way the Ford government has been reacting to COVID-19. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, they certainly have disregarded our Constitution and our Charter of Rights and Freedoms to a significant extent.
Give me some examples where you think in a pandemic they've gone too far.
Well, it's not whether it's in a pandemic or not, Leslie. It's our Constitution and it's our Charter of Rights, and it's to be applicable at all times, regardless of what events. We have fundamental freedoms, and freedoms of mobility, freedoms of assembly, freedom of expression. All those have been significantly deprived and denied or suppressed.
Give me some examples, real-time examples here.
Well, if you have more than 25 people outside, that's a violation of the law now. And freedom of assembly has no restrictions on quantity, Leslie. Okay? How
do you feel about masks, Randy?
Are we talking about this letter that Constable Mark from the Ottawa
we
Police?
are. But I'm just curious because you're getting into the whole freedom of rights and so on, and I just want to break it down so I understand better where you're coming from. So,
This is one of the reasons why people are sending me these letters, Leslie. The media and the government. Many people are not feeling that they're being represented and that their concerns aren't being heard or represented either in the media or by elected representatives. These are legitimate, strong concerns. Our Constitution should be upheld by everybody at all times in our country. Okay?
All right. Are you in support of mandatory masks during the pandemic?
No, I certainly am not.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you for answering the question. Do you think the pandemic is real? I'm curious. I'm just curious, man. Look, I'm trying to separate you. I'm trying to separate you from people who...
This is the gibberish and the nonsense that we hear from the media. I have significant and grave concerns about how we're responding to this virus. Okay? We are hurting and causing a great deal of harm to many, many people in our province.
Agreed. But here's the question.
And why are we continuing to do this and not looking at other options on how we can help people without harming them?
Okay. Let me there's a lot to unpack there. What would you do differently?
Well, there's a significant number of things that should be done differently, and it should be based on what the actual evidence is. As last week, our Minister of Long-Term Care, Marilee Fullerton, explained that what has happened in our long-term care is comparable to a bad flu season. That's her statement that's on the record. We are acting as if it is not a bad flu season. We're acting in a very different fashion. So let's start looking at the actual evidence and not just the fear. Facts are important, not just the fear.
What's the most important fact to you that we're not sharing?
Well, how about that one that I just mentioned?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I didn't read the entire statement that she said. I don't know the context, and also all I look at is the numbers in long-term care homes. The majority of deaths happen there. So
that's right. Well, and if that's the worst, and we know that is where the greatest severity and the greatest fatalities have been. And the minister is saying in the worst place, okay, in the most severely affected place, that this is comparable to a bad flu season. Why are we acting in the fashion that we are in the places where it's not so severe?
Look, it's not just Ontario, Randy. It's Canada. It's the world. It's the world.
Well, it's a good part of the Western world, absolutely.
So why are we all wrong and you're right?
Did I say that?
Well, you
How about
kind of
the Great
implied
Barrington Declaration and the doctor that you just had on?
Yeah, and we constantly have him on because we want to hear from everybody. But I don't understand why you are taking this position. And I think we have more in common, Randy, than you're giving us credit for. Number one.
Well, the facts demonstrate that the total fatality in Canada
so it's numbers, sheer numbers,
is similar
right.
to what we've had in other flu seasons.
Right. Do you think Donald Trump has this right when he goes to rallies after having COVID without masks and encourages people to come out without masks? I'm curious. Randy.
Let's speak to the facts here in Canada.
Well, okay. Well, the numbers are pretty good. A lot of people would say because of the measures.
It's the same as every year.
Well, Randy, I'm talking about COVID. Okay.
Well,
a lot of people
COVID
are saying it would be
respiratory virus.
The doctors would tell you, and public health would tell you, it'd be a lot worse if we didn't take the measures that we have. And again,
some of them will. If you read the Great Barrington Declaration, that is signed by over 30,000 medical professionals, they disagree.
So you're saying basically, don't trust public health. Don't trust the Minister of Health. Don't trust the Ford government. Don't trust the Trudeau Liberals. Don't trust Dr. Tam.
There's more to life and there's more to COVID than just public health. There's also our education. There's our access to health care.
Absolutely.
There's our economy. There's all these other important things that we are disregarding and harming in the process.
And I'm all for free speech and I'm for Charter of Rights. But when you look at a situation where there are exceptions to be made, an argument could be made that pandemic is one of them. Because it's temporary, number one, until we have a measure in place to be able to tackle it to save lives.
Well, it was supposed to be temporary for 2 weeks back in March in Ontario.
Well, don't say that was, the rules don't change after 2 weeks. We're in it. It's evolving.
What do you mean the rules don't? The rules should be changed based on the evidence, not just on projections.
Okay, let me ask you this. I think we have to disagree on that one point, because I think we actually are, again, more in common than you think. That being said, Randy, with full respect, would you, allow full business operations, do away with mandatory masks, all of the above?
I would do what the evidence suggests, and it suggests very strongly that for people who are healthy, people who are not elderly with chronic illness or multiple chronic illnesses, for all the other people who are younger and the healthier, this does not pose a risk.
So
why should we be acting as if it is at an extreme risk to those people that it is a very minimal risk?
So people who are going to die anyway because of their risk conditions, pre-existing health issues?
My suggestion was that those people that we know that are at high risk, we should be focusing our policies to assist and help them.
So, in other words, put the onus on
people who are not at risk.
So put the onus on those who are vulnerable to take care of themselves.
Well, we all have a responsibility to take care of ourselves, I hope.
Okay. At what point does that change? When it's your mother?
Listen, we all have a responsibility to take care of ourselves. That ought not to ever change.
Yeah, I'm just curious. It sounds very selfish, doesn't it, to a lot of people?
No, it is selfish for me to take care of my health. What world is that?
No, but I would like to think to be empathetic and giving, and I mean, if
and as I said, we should be focusing our policies on those who are at risk.
But you can be, and I quote from your Twitter account here, you can be a true believer of freedom, justice, and democracy, but also want to help others.
Of course.
And I think helping others is doing what public health suggests in the temporary measures.
But they're causing a great deal of harm to people who are not at risk.
Well, that great deal of harm, however, is the unknown versus the known, right? So what are you saying, that we should just...
Well, it's not unknown. We know what the harm is. We know that there's about 200,000 people who can't get medical procedures done in this province.
Yeah, you're right.
That's a fact.
Yeah, the backlog is not fun. I'll give you that. Absolutely.
And if you want to be empathetic, what about the person who is not had a bowel movement for a week
Right.
and can't get in to see their doctor?
Yeah.
And what about the people who are trying to get an organ transplant so that they can live and they can't get an organ transplant? Let's be empathetic for everybody.
Randy, here's the thing. I'm willing to say we don't know, so maybe you got some points that are valid and probably could have been taken into account. That is number one. Number two, is it possible that also it could be far worse and far more deaths, and maybe some of the people who aren't on that high risk would also have died as a result? Can you give me that?
Well, listen, let's act on what we do know, okay? What we do know, not hypotheticals, not assumptions, not presuppositions. Let's operate on facts. We always promote ourselves as basing our decisions on science and evidence. Well, the science and evidence is clear, okay? I grant you, back in March, when we didn't have evidence, when we had projections and we had models, and they were dire and they were catastrophic models, that is one thing. But now we have the evidence, okay?
Yeah.
We know how it is transmitted now.
I hear you, Randy. The problem is I think the people who are making the decisions are far smarter than I am. I hope you think the same way, because these are people with MDs after their name and people who have far more expertise in this.
And what about the 30,000 MDs who have said what we're doing is wrong?
Okay, counterpoint. I get it. What they're saying is different than we should be doing. But I don't know if going out without a mask is something they could agree with.
Well, listen.
Because that kind of kills your point right there. When you say you don't believe in masks, mandatory, I think that kind of kills your credibility. You got to do something, and that is not an inconvenience.
The big denier story, once again, from the media. If you don't agree with the conventional wisdom and what the political correct statement is of the day,
that's not true.
You are a denier.
Okay.
This, you're better than that.
Well,
your studio and your station is better than that.
Randy, and I think you're better than that, but asking to wear a mask out of respect for others who may be at risk is not a big ask.
Well, we also know how it is transmitted.
Randy, I think we're going to go around in circles here. I appreciate you coming on. I wanted to give you an opportunity to express your views and also the views of one person who claims to be an Ottawa police officer.
Many professionals, doctors, lawyers, and other people who I'm putting their letters on because the media is suppressing and denying people that expression of what their interests and what their concerns are.
Randy, we completely always have doctors on. You mentioned Dr. Rao. We had him on before, but even he suggests a mask is important. Randy, we're done. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Independent member for Lanark, Frontenac, Kingston. That is MPP Randy Hillier.